Hi everyone and welcome back to It's Personal. I am Mona and this is Something Sweet Part 2. I cannot believe it's finally out. It took a hot minute for this video to make its appearance on the channel because there were some technical difficulties. About a month ago, it might be a little less, my graphics card decided to give me a headache. The fan on the inside that keeps the graphics card cool decided to be kaput. It is finished. So it was going back and forth there for a while because I couldn't use the computer, because editing videos or even playing a game was too much for the computer to handle, and it would just shut off on me completely. So yeah, that was a headache for a while. So everything was standing still and I was literally at the point of just doing this voiceover for the video, and then it would have been out. But you know, everything in life comes with time and patience apparently, which is something I need to be working very hard on. But I'm very grateful for good friends in my life that helped me to get it fixed, and they used their super brain powers to figure out a plan, so I didn't have to wait like 2 or 3 months to ship in a new fan from out of the country, because this is kind of an older graphics card, and yeah, finding a replacement fan in South Africa was not really an option. It needed to come in from overseas, like they would say. But enough about that. There were some technical difficulties, but it got sorted. So now here you guys have a video of a lollipop. So today we used a cardstock, not a cardstock. It is a Prime Art Concept 200 heavyweight drawing cartridge. Now that is a lot of big words, but the important thing to know from that is the 200 in that description basically stands for the thickness of your paper. Let's say, for example, watercolor paper, your thicker watercolor paper has like a 300 GM thickness, and then it depends on different medias. Like your sketching papers are like closer to 100, so it depends on what media you're using. It will vary in thickness your paper you will use. When I started with color pencils, I used a Fabriano cardstock. I used the smoothest side of that paper. It's actually a really smooth, it has a smooth side, and then it's also got a what's the word for it, coarse side, if I'm correct. And then the smooth side actually works really well for colored pencils. So usually when I'm like feeling I need to go safe, or I need to test like new pencils, I go back to that because I'm familiar with what the paper does, and it's just easier for me to work on that. But this heavy drawing cartridge from Prime Art is actually also really nice, and I'm slowly warming up to it as I do more projects, different kind of projects. Whew, the English is not Englishing today. As I do more projects on it. So yeah, the colored pencils I used for this project was the Ghiato Stiliano colored pencils again. I used them as some extra flair in the last video as well. And then there's also the Chorus pastel pencils are also making a little comeback in this video. And then to the end I used a Micron 0.3 and also a Jelly Roll pen. This little project was interesting because this is the second attempt on on this little lollipop, because the first video I recorded the quality wasn't really good, and it took me like an hour and a half the first time around, and then I redid it, and this only took like 45 to 50 minutes, which isn't too long for sitting down and doing a small little A6 size project like this, which is actually really nice, because sometimes we don't have time to do big projects and sit around for hours. But don't get me wrong, I like a good session sitting down for like bits this week, but a bit later in the week. You know, when you have time, you need to be practicing what you love, and for me with art, it's like therapeutic just to sit down for like 2 hours or an hour at a time, just to like unwind my brain after a day of work and being highly social, because my work entails me being like hands-on, and I have to smile a lot of the times and be kind and, you know, professional, all those things. So it helps to just come home and just sit down with a little project like this for 45-50 minutes and just have it be easy to do. So that's kind of where I'm at with a lot of these little small projects I'm going to bring to the channel, is just make it as simple as possible for everyone. And yeah, so a little bit more about this little project. I'm busy with the ribbon right now, and I actually really enjoyed doing the shadowing and stuff around um, this little like golden ribbon, because initially I was in the mood to do like a what would I call it, like a purple, red and yellow like rainbow effect on that ribbon, and then I realized it was going to be too much of a contrast and it's going to be clashing with the lollipop itself. But maybe I'll reuse that color scheme in another video at some point. But yeah, this little lollipop turned out really cute. And just some interesting information about lollipops is in the making process. Now this is where I know my lollipop is not very realistic at all, because to get that gradient I don't think is possible, not from the images I saw on Mr. Google. But the interesting thing about making with when they make lollipops is that when they heat up the candy and they start stretching it out, the more you stretch out that hot, I don't know what do you want to call it, like sticky candy stuff, when you stretch that out, the more you stretch it, the more opaque it gets. Now opaqueness means it becomes more like you cannot see through it, so it becomes like a solid color. I found that very, very interesting. I was like, now I learned something new for today when I read that and I saw the video of a lady making like beautiful candies and stuff. But it's a process because you need to reheat stuff to like form them and like twist like colors together to make those beautiful patterns they make with them. But yeah, here's some interesting little Google information for you guys. I'm going to read through you what I saw on Sweet Factory Global. They've got like a little info where the name lollipop originated from, and it says lollipops were first introduced to the West in 1908 by a man named George Smith from New Haven, Connecticut in the United States. He got the name of the confection from a racehorse named Lollipop. He trademarked the candy's name in 1932. So every time you eat a lollipop from now on, remember there was a horsey involved. There was a racehorse somewhere in the world at some point that was named Lollipop, and that is where the name comes from. Okay, so for a moment here, I'm just going to talk about the blending process on this project. It's almost more than 50% done at this point. What I ended up doing was I used two colors for each color I used. So I would have two different types of yellows, two pinks, two blue greens. And then what ended up happening was, instead of having only three colors like on rotation, in between where those colors overlapped, there was like blending happening. So you went from blue green to the yellow, and in between there was this beautiful like green color happening. And from the yellow to the pink again, there was like a light shade of like orangey vibes going. And from the pink to the blue green again, we got this little perfect little purplish color going. So yeah, I was like really happy about that. It wasn't something I planned. It was just like it happened as I was blending out the pencils. But I guess that's how you learn. When you add certain colors together, you're going to get blends that bring out different colors again. But like I said in the first video, it's like this is such a learning process, and art is so personal to each and every one of us that you're never going to know what's going to happen on a project until you actually sit down and you do it. Then you're going to discover all kinds of cool things. I think what I did here, if I remember correctly, is like I didn't use just a darker yellow. I went like with a more golden color for the yellow, because my darker yellows didn't like pop properly on that light yellow shade. So I used like a more of a golden color, which actually really helped a lot. I think it's the same gold I used at the bottom with the ribbon as well. And yeah, I just ended up using the darker tones, darker tone pencils, just to like give those little like indent, you know what, sometimes you get candy and then it's got like these little crevices in it where the colors are just more like darker, more opaque. So that's kind of what I try to do with the lollipop. Use the darker colors for like like for the folds, and maybe there was like a little crack in the lollipop somewhere, and you can see it's like the darker colors are in there. It's like, I just love how this turned out. This is not a realistic little lollipop at all, but like I said, it's like, I don't think you can mix those colors the way they are on the picture right now, but it's still fun to just use your creativity and just do something different, something pretty at the end of the day, that's going to make you happy. Yeah, I'm gonna let you guys enjoy a little bit more of this before we head into the line work and ending off with some jelly roll paint. So right now I'm just going to fill in the background with a light peachy toned color. That took like a quick second just to fill in the background. I didn't do much pressure on it. I didn't want to, what is the word they use, what colors to use? When you it's basically you fill in all the spaces on the paper with your pencil. I can't for the life of me remember now what it's called. If you guys remember, please let me know down in the comments. No, I can't remember. We'll remember at a later stage. Maybe I'll drop it in the comments myself if I remember what it was. But another little interesting fact about the lollipops, well, not fact, just like me thinking back on my childhood, as well as we in South Africa have beacon lollipops or beacon fizz pops. Two of the more popular flavors we still have around are cherry and apple, but in the early days, or not too early days, but still a couple of years ago, you still had like grape flavor and Coke flavor. And I remember very vividly, I went through a phase where that lollipop would be dunked into Coca-Cola, which was funny. But yeah, when you're a kid, you do strange things. You guys will see now, I did some line work. I'm just adding in some little white jelly roll pen. I just can't stay away from a white jelly roll pen. It's a must. It just puts a little bit of highlight into the picture, and yeah, it just gives it that last little pop of prettiness. Yeah, and I wanted to tell you guys a little bit quickly about just about the channel some more. You guys will also find It's Personal on Instagram. I've got a couple of pictures on there, just a couple of projects I've done like over, I don't know, I just think like the last year, a little bit more maybe. So you can find that under It's Personal 2901 on Instagram. It's Personal 2901. And yeah, that is the complete project for today. I'm thankful that you guys watched. If you liked the video, please scroll down just a tiny little bit, hit the like and subscribe button, and yeah, I will see you guys in part 3. Until next time, bye bye.